Hey guys, what is up? Tasman Hart here. Here is my review for Avatar Fire and Ash. So, Avatar Fire and Ash is the third installment of the Avatar franchise, and just like the first and second film, this movie is written and directed by James Cameron. The plot of this movie is that we follow Jake Sully and Natiri's family as they grapple with grief after the events of The Way of Water. They face new threats from both humans, RDA, and a hostile, fire-worshipping Na'vi clan called the Ash People, Mangwan, sorry I can pronounce, led by the ruthless Varang, forcing the Sullys to confront darker aspects of Pandora and themselves, especially regarding their human son Spider, whose survival becomes central to the conflict. Yeah, that's a plot. Just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah, that's the plot of the movie, and so yeah, all I can say, guys, Avatar: Fire and Ash was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Like, it was one of my top 10 for 2025, and it was also my number one for the end of the year. If you guys want to know my thoughts on the previous Avatar films, let me show you guys right here. Okay. All right. To let you guys know, I am a massive fan of both Avatar films. Like, I am a massive fan of the Avatar franchise, especially with the first film that came out in 2009. Like, I understand the criticisms. Like, I understand people say this movie is overrated in terms of story wise. Like, yes, this movie actually borrows tropes from other films like Dances with Wolves, Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, Pocahontas, and many other films. And I do agree, it may not be like one of the best of story wise. However, but for being groundbreaking of its time, with amazing special effects and epic spectacle, awesome motion capture designs of the blue people, and for a popcorn entertainment, I think this movie is still awesome. It's not my favorite James Cameron movie, but I do think it's a darn great film as it stands on its own. And of course, Avatar: The Way of Water. Sorry about that. Yeah, that out of the way. Yeah, Avatar: The Way of Water. Yes, I own this movie on Blu-ray, and in my opinion, I think this movie is even better. Like, I would call this a masterpiece. Like yeah, it does have its issues, and like in some storylines, and I do agree this movie is 3 hours long, but I love it. I do think this movie. Like, I watched this movie recently, and of course I saw this movie in theaters, and when it first came out, and I watched this movie recently, and I gotta say, I think this movie is great. It's an amazing movie, and I do think it's a worthy follow up to the first film. So yeah, yeah, I absolutely love Avatar: The Way of Water. So going into Avatar: Fire and Ash, yeah, I've been hearing people are very divided by this movie, which I'm honestly not surprised that this movie is getting divided reviews because number one, it's an Avatar movie. You know, Avatar is a very polarizing franchise, and then number two is that 2025 was like the year of divisive movies, which may not be the reason, but it is a reason. And number three, James Cameron can have movies that are divided, especially with the highest grossing movies like Titanic. Like, Titanic may be a beloved movie, but some people were very divided on that movie. And same thing for the Avatar films, both the first film and the second film, The Way of Water, and now this film. But I went in this movie an open mind. I saw this movie in theaters, and this it has a very packed theater, and I saw this movie in theaters. What did I think about this movie, guys? Well, all right, there we go. I will say this, guys. I do think that this is my least favorite Avatar film, and I do prefer the first two films over this film, and it's also my least favorite James Cameron film. But with that said, I personally love this movie. Yes, guys, I really do love Avatar: Fire and Ash, and I will say that I do think Avatar: Fire and Ash is a great wonderful, entertaining, and a really satisfying send off to the first three chapters to the saga. Like, it's not the last movie. You're going to see Avatar 4 and Avatar 5 coming out in the next couple of years. But as the first chapter, I think it's a very solid, nice, and a really satisfying conclusion. The positive for this movie, I'm going to get to the positives because there's a lot of positives. The positive for this movie is that, without question, the visual effects. Like, the visual effects is what saves the Avatar movies. They were absolutely flawless. And Avatar Fire Ash's visual effects were 100% marvelous. Especially in terms of filmmaking, the animation, the designs, the world building, the movements, and its scale, the water, and even the fire. It looks absolutely 100% amazing. And this movie does look amazing on the big screen. Like, there are times it can be overloaded in terms of the way it looks, and it can have some style over substance in certain scenes. But with that said, the visual effects in this movie is just absolute perfection. Like, this movie insanely costs around 350 and 400 million, and even despite how much money that they put on this movie, how they put on this movie, it's very well spent. The story, for the most part, is very engaging. I will say that I do have some criticisms in certain ways that I'll get to in the flaws in a minute. But it did get me invested throughout the film, and I do think the story, for the most part, is actually very engaging and very solid. The action sequences were absolutely fantastic, especially with the airship scenes, like the flying airship scenes, and also the climax are, to me, one of the best parts and easily the highlights of the film. Especially how intense, well choreographed, and even the way they filmed is just epic, ingenious, and jaw-dropping. Like, let me tell you, like the action sequences were absolutely top notch. Like, I just love the action sequences, and especially with the battle scenes, they're just epic and exciting. The acting was absolutely fantastic, especially with Sam Worthington, who once again is great as Jake Sully. Zoe Saldana was absolutely amazing as Neytiri, just like the first two films. Sigourney Weaver was great as Kiri. Jack Champion as Spider was absolutely brilliant. Brenton Dalton as Loek was great. Bailey Bass as Tessaria, sorry I can pronounce her name, was really great in this movie. And Kate Winslet as Ronald was also great, and even Trinity Bliss as Tuck, one of the youngest out of the Sully families, was also really good and really great. All these actors all give out amazing performances as well, and we cannot forget this. Stephen Lang who was once again amazing as Miles Cortez. And of course, Una Chaplin was fantastic and intimidating as Varang. Yeah, all the performances in this movie were absolutely fantastic. Yeah, there's anything bad to say about these performances. They all do a really great job playing these characters. And speaking of the characters were really great. Like, they're not like one of the greatest characters, but they are really great characters, especially with the family dynamics with the Sully family, just like Neytiri, Jake, Kiri, Loek, and even Spider were absolutely like the heart of the entire film. And even the villains, like Cortez and Varang, are really great villains. And even their dynamics were very entertaining to watch. Yeah. Okay. It also has amazing... Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it also has amazing cinematography, especially how it's bigger scale and scope. How the way this movie was filmed. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's very well directed by James Cameron. James Cameron knows how to craft films like this, and he, just like how he does a lot of these iconic films like Terminator, Aliens, Titanic, and many other films, The Abyss, True Lies, and of course Avatar films. He knows how to craft a film, and man, he actually does really show how well he does making a film, and it looks really great. It's got great editing. Some of the pacing is really good. It also has amazing motion capture designs of the Na'vi people, just like the first two films. It's got great moments. It's also got good emotional moments, and the production designs and costume designs were absolutely fantastic. And the ending, which I won't spoil the whole movie, but I did hear that people were very mixed on the ending. But for me, I love the ending. I do think the ending for this movie is very nice and very satisfying. Now, even though I do love this movie, and I had a great time with Avatar Fire and Ash, but I do think this is the weakest film in the series because I do have a few issues. Um, Give me a minute. Okay. The first flaw is that some of the storylines, it's not bad. Like, it is engaging, but there are times that some of the story beats can be mostly repetitive, especially how it was like the first two movies, especially that it is similar to The Way of Water. I usually don't have a problem with those stories beats as long as it's done right, but I just wish they could have got rid of those repeats and make it a little bit different than what they did before. And the second flaw is that, and I think you guys are going to agree with me for saying this movie is way too long. Like, this movie is 3 hours and 15 minutes. You could have just trimmed this movie for like 10 minutes. Don't get me wrong, guys. I don't have a problem for longer runtimes, especially with 3 hour movies, as long as it gets me invested with the story and characters. And this movie did get me invested for the most part. Don't get me wrong. However, I just wish they could have trimmed it down for at least 10 or 15 minutes. And also, some of the pacing can feel dragged on in some scenes. But with that said, I'm happy for it. And the third and final flaw is that I do kind of wish we could have spent time with other characters throughout the film. But with that said, that's all I can say about this movie. Overall, Avatar Fire and Ash may be my least favorite Avatar film and my least favorite James Cameron film. With that said, I do think this is a great movie, a very entertaining movie, and a very entertaining installment. It's epic, thrilling, it's wonderful, and for the conclusion to the conclusion and the culmination to the first three chapters of the Sully family, what James Cameron has been saying and the others have been saying, I think it's very solid and very satisfying. Even though I would love to see James Cameron do something different with making other movies, like what I've been hearing, he's going to be doing something original with his future projects. I would love to see Avatar 4 as long as it can turn out to be great. Like, Fire and Ash is not a perfect movie, but I do think it's a wonderful installment of the series. If some of you guys are a fan of the Avatar franchise like I am, you might really enjoy or love this movie. Just don't expect this movie to be as good or better than the previous two films. And if some of you guys did not like the previous two movies, then you're probably not going to like this movie. Overall, it won't be for everyone, but I can say that this is a must-see movie, and I had a really great time with this movie. And here's my overall rating. Yeah, my overall rating, I'm going to give Avatar Fire and Ash a 9.5 out of 10 and A. Yeah, I might be a minority on this movie, but I really love this movie. That's why I'm going to give this rating. Just a 9.5 out of 10. If you're a fan of the Avatar franchise and wanted to see this movie, I can say go see this movie on the big screen. And it's definitely worth it. And I can say I'm happy it's doing very well. It's no big shock that it's going to make $1 billion at the box office. I mean, it's already making $1 billion, so. But yeah, go see this movie on the big screen or wait until Disney Plus if you can, because I can say it's a must-see movie. That's my review for Avatar Fire and Ash, and I hope you guys really enjoyed my review for the film. Did you guys see the movie or not? Let me know below. And next week, I will be doing my list for next week, and you'll find out what I'll be doing next week. I hope you guys have a good day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys later.